Hey, house guests, welcome to today's BBCan 10 updates and spoilers. Happy Monday. Our house guests of the day are Connor Bourne and John Preeb. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests today, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Yay! I also want to thank our super chatters from the other day because your support means the world to us, and that's a great way to keep our channel going. So Jody Cortez and Donald Butts, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And I see we've got two super chatters here today. Two or maybe 1.5. I don't know. Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much as always. He says, I got nothing. This is one nutty but fun house. Right? And Jefferson Tuckery. Thank you so much. Jefferson says we really should think about test driving non-HOH veto comps in the US. Wow, 5 for 5. I know, right? Okay, that's Jefferson's son, Joey. Hi, Jefferson's son, Joey. Thank you both so much. We really appreciate it. We've got some stuff to discuss. Honestly, I'm still shook from the Oscars slap last night. It was the slap heard around the world, and it was hard to focus on work today, but we've got some interesting stuff to talk about. So, when we left off on Saturday, the house guests were getting ready for the power veto competition. We saw that Jess nominated Hermann and Moose for eviction, and Hermann was the target. So, there was some drama because Jess had also spilled to Betty that Moose said Betty and Kevin should be going up this week. And Moose was saying those two haven't proven themselves or done anything in the game so far. So Betty was pissed when she heard this and she called Moose out on it. So eventually Moose apologized to Betty and Kevin for saying this, and Betty and Kevin were ready to squash it, but Jess kept the drama going because Jess was upset that Moose was not trying to fix things with them too, only really with Betty and Kevin. And Jess was also salty because they felt that Herman and Moose disrespected them during the nomination ceremony. Oh my God. So dramatic, so extra. Okay. So yeah. They had the power veto competition on Saturday. The players, to remind you, were Herman and Moose, and then the 3 extra players were Marty, Josh, and JC Lynn. So, for the 5th week in a row, one of the nominees won the power veto. It was Herman. So, he also won $5,000. Good for him. What a day, right? What a day to be Herman. And it sounds like he made a point of having like a big celebration when he won because we saw how upset Jess was after Herman joked around during the nomination ceremony, or at least we heard about it. We haven't seen it yet. We'll see it on tonight's episode. But Jess did respect that Herman came over and shook their hand after the competition. It was like, you know what? We both put each other up on the block. We both won the veto to save ourselves. So we're even. You know, it's all good. Like my handshake. We're all good. And Jess really respected that. So now the question is, who will Jess put up as their placement nominee? Also, is Moose the target now, or will a new target emerge? Pre-veto, Jess was saying that Tanisha would likely go up as the replacement if necessary. We'll see if that sticks. Okay, so Saturday night, Tanisha, Summer, and Jess were having a chat in the red bedroom, and I gotta say, this was not a good conversation for Tanisha and Summer. Tanisha was asking Jess, how would you feel about bringing Josh into our siblings alliance? Just a reminder, the siblings are Tanisha, Summer, Jess, and Betty. And they had already been discussing potentially bringing Josh into this alliance. So Jess says, I love Josh, but I'm not really sure if he would want that, if he would want to be pulled into this alliance. They think that Josh might feel weird about being brought into an already established alliance. I mean, I'm assuming that they would pretend that this was like a new thing, right? Because that would be really crappy to be like, hey, do you want to join this alliance late that we already made without you? I wouldn't feel great about that. But I mean, there are ways around that. You can present it in a different way. So yeah, Jess is like, I don't know if Josh is going to be happy about that. So Tanisha says, all right, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you, Jess, feel that Summer, Betty, and myself have a closer relationship, and you kind of feel like you're at the bottom of our group. So Tanisha says, by bringing Josh in, who you're closer to, it would give you some more security in our group. Yikes. Oh my God. So you're basically saying that Jess is at the bottom of the alliance. Like, not great. But Jess says, yeah, I feel like I'm at the bottom of like anything that I'm involved with, no matter what it is. I just have to say, Jess has been making themselves the victim like all week. It's been a bit much all week, meaning since Thursday night. But eventually this group discusses the replacement nominee, and Tanisha feels like at this point the only people being considered are herself, Summer, Betty, Kevin, or Helena. So if you look at those considerations, 3 out of the 5 are supposed to be in an alliance with Jess. So Jess is asking, how do we play this to our advantage, sibling wise? They said they don't want to put anyone at risk from the alliance, but they also don't want anyone to know that they're all in cahoots. They want to keep this alliance hidden. So Summer says, just putting this out there, I would not feel comfortable going up on the block this week. I have a lot of influence throughout the house. I'm kind of like a social threat. So there is the potential that the vote could flip on me and I could go instead of Moose. Also, we're working together. So no, I don't want to go up on the block. And Jess is like, yeah, I don't want y'all to be pissed at me. So that is something they are taking into consideration. So then Tanisha and Summer start pushing for either Helena or Kevin to go up as the replacement nominee. They're pushing more for Helena over Kevin. And they were saying Helena would not hold it against you if you put her up on the block. You could make it work. Also, you're not in an alliance with Helena, and we're in an alliance with you. Yeah, so the reason why this is like so bad is because Jess and Helena were chatting before this, and they had a feeling Tanisha and Summer might try and suggest Helena as the replacement nominee, and they wanted to see if they would do it. And guess what? Tanisha and Summer pushed for Helena to go up on the block. So Jess is going to be bringing that info back to Helena. And Helena is in the Mandems alliance with Tanisha and Summer. So there's a very good chance that alliance will now be falling apart. These alliances are very short-lived this season. But anyway, a little later, Betty, Summer, and Helena are chatting in the red bedroom. And Betty is just like, oh my God, it is so easy to get info out of Marty. I was just like giving him a little massage or whatever. And Marty started spilling all this stuff to me. He told me that Herman was the target this week, and Jess is super upset that he won the power of veto. Also, Marty said that he thinks Tanisha is probably going to go up as the replacement nominee because Jess thinks that Tanisha and Moose are working together. Also, Marty revealed that he is targeting Herman because he thinks that Herman is targeting him. Damn, Marty cannot keep his mouth shut. It's like really bad. So during this conversation, Helena is also just acting worried, like Jess might put her up on the block as a replacement. And this is also something that Helena discussed with Jess beforehand. She's not actually worried about going up. She knows that she's not going up this week. She's playing it up though in front of Betty, Tanisha, and Summer. So Betty says, if Jess puts Tanisha up, I'm done with them. I'm not working with Jess anymore. Why wouldn't Jess put up Kevin? Kevin can't stand Jess. That's the impression that everyone's under. We know that Jess and Kevin talk a lot of game. However, I don't think Kevin is as serious about working with Jess long term as Jess is about working with Kevin. Yeah. But everyone's like, it doesn't make sense that Jess would not put Kevin up on the block when they don't get along. It doesn't make sense. Okay. So Betty says she's pretty sure that Jess knows what they want to do with this replacement nominee, and they're just fishing for info at this point, like they were before the original nominations. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, meanwhile, Herman is chatting with Gino and JC Lynn. And he is doing a hard pivot here. It seemed like he had decided he was going to work with Tanisha, Betty, Moose, Summer, that whole side of the house, Josh, definitely Josh. And now Herman is saying he wants to work with Gino and JC Lynn and maybe pull in a fourth person. So he's saying, look, I want to work with strong players who can win competitions and who will fight for me in this game. I think going up on the block this week really freaked Herman out a bit. Yes, he won the power of veto to save himself, but like if he hadn't won that competition, he could have been in a lot of trouble. So Gino and JC Lynn are like, yeah, this is great. Like we should work together or something. I don't know how serious they are about that. But I believe Herman is shook here because Summer had told him if she won the power veto this week, she wouldn't use it on him. And Herman feels like they're at a point in the game where if you're working with someone and they win the veto, they should be willing to use it on you. You know, your allies need to be fighting for you. I can't really blame Herman because the side that he was working with, like a lot of them are just straight up throwing competitions. They don't care about winning competitions right now. So that's not good for a player like Herman, who's already got a big target on him. So yeah, he's trying to change things up here. All right. So yesterday morning, Jess was talking through their thoughts to the box of batteries. Okay. So Jess was saying, as much as I love the siblings, they've never shown me any reassurance that they're actually working with me and they have my back. Jess says, I don't know if they would have protected me if they won HOH this week. And Jess is also not happy that Betty blew up on Moose about the information that they gave her. So Jess says, I'm going to be cleaning up that mess for a long time, and I don't know if I can deal with that happening over and over again throughout the game. So Jess says they want to keep working with Marty, Kevin, Gino, JC Lynn, and they're even, they're working on something with Helena. So Jess says, I know that Josh cares about me, but he cares about a lot of people in here. And I think that he would always choose Betty over me. Okay. So Jess is saying they still want Moose to go. He's super smart. He's super competitive, and he would do anything to win. So at this point, Jess says they feel like they have to put up one of the siblings, and they're just going to play it off like they just want to keep the alliance a secret, and that's why they would put one of the siblings up on the block. That's not going to sit well with those siblings. Okay, so a little later, Marty and Jess are chatting in the backyard, and Jess says the replacement nominee has to be someone who's close to Moose. And Jess feels like Moose has to go. They're thinking it's going to be Tanisha going up on the block because I think part of it is that they feel like Tanisha would handle it the best out of the other siblings in the alliance. But also, there is that rumor floating around that Tanisha, Herman, and Moose are like this three-headed dragon running the other side of the house. So it would make sense for Tanisha to go up when Herman comes down. So, okay, Marty admits to Jess, I spilled some info to Betty last night about Tanisha being the replacement nominee. And Marty was like all pissed that Betty was asking him questions, and he knows that Betty's been throwing him under the bus. And Jess says, you cannot trust Betty or Summer. They both pitched for you to go up on the block this week. Do not be spilling info to them. So Marty's like, yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Okay. So Marty says he knows that Jess wants Moose out, but he's thinking that Tanisha should go this week. He thinks that they would have the numbers to pull it off. And now we've seen Marty have this conversation with a few people where he's like, I think Tanisha's got to go this week. He's definitely planting seeds to try and make that happen, to get the target to shift from Moose to Tanisha. So Jess says, you know what? Moose isn't necessarily my target this week. Tanisha is very smart. So, if that's what the house decides to do, it's not really up to me at that point. Damn. Okay, so Jess seems pretty locked on nominating Tanisha by that point, and they tell Marty that they're going to continue to act undecided to get people to spill more information. They've also been pissing a lot of people off by acting like they're undecided. Oh, people were sick of it. But Jess tells Marty, stop telling people stuff. Keep your mouth shut. All right. So there was some non-game related drama yesterday. Summer was upset with Kevin. Apparently, yes, we have a landline. Apparently, Summer made some joke about Gino's profession being like a firefighter slash first responder, and Gino was not bothered by the joke. But Kevin was offended on Gino's behalf. And Summer was like, this is none of Kevin's business. It's not his place to be offended. Like, he shouldn't be speaking for a community that he's not a part of. And Summer says this is kind of something that she's already dealt with Kevin this season. She's upset that he's been using slang from communities that he's not a part of. So Summer was debating whether or not she wants to call Kevin out on all this. And eventually yesterday she did confront Kevin one-on-one, very, chill, very relaxed. But Kevin ended up apologizing. He felt bad about it. Okay, so that's all in the past now. Oh, my nose is running. Oh, sorry. Okay, meanwhile, Herman is chatting with Marty in the backyard, and Herman says, yes, there is value in numbers, but it's also important to win competitions. So this is similar to the conversation that he was having with Gino and JC Lynn. So Herman says, you know what? I've been noticing who always seems to be in the top 3 in all these competitions. You, me, and Jess, we each have 2 competition wins now. If we just pick each other off, this house is just going to be left with people who haven't won anything. And Herman doesn't want that. So Herman says he really wants to shift his mindset for the next few weeks, a week or 2, whatever, to take out people who aren't winning anything, take out people who are kind of just coasting along. So Marty's like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but it's going to be hard for me to rebuild trust with you after everything that's gone down. So Marty tells Herman, I will know for sure that I can trust you if you win HOH and you keep me safe. What are you supposed to do in the meantime? That's great and all, but Marty also says, or, you can spill some information to me and that will show me that I can trust you. Nobody wants to be spilling info to Marty. No. So Marty says that I've heard that people close to you have been throwing my name out there. So how can I trust you? What if you're doing the same thing? But he is saying he would like to work with Herman again because nobody would expect it. Okay. So Herman is like, cool. I don't really feel comfortable giving out information right now, especially since we haven't had the POV ceremony yet. I mean, Herman is safe for the week, but he doesn't want to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that. But for real, Marty is one of the last people that you want to trust information with. He has the biggest mouth, the loosest lips in the house. So no way. Okay, so a little later, Marty and JC Lynn are chatting in the beach room, and JC Lynn says, I don't know, something weird is going on with Josh. Now we know that Gino and JC Lynn have been getting closer to Josh. They want to kind of resurrect the Honey Bunch Alliance or start some other alliance with Josh and Marty. But JC Lynn is not feeling as confident in Josh anymore. And Marty agrees. Josh has been distant. He's been acting shady. And they agree they can't trust him at this point. So JC Lynn says, it seems like Josh is trying to pick which side he really wants to work with. He's taking in all this information and not giving any back. So that does not make her feel super comfortable. So then JC Lynn and Marty are comparing notes on Herman and how he's now approached both of them and Gino about working together again. And JC Lynn says, I don't want to work with Herman. I don't trust him. And Marty agrees with that. Okay. JC Lynn also says she's worried that Josh is going to pull Jess over to the other side. And JC Lynn's like, why is Josh so torn about this? What does he see in the other side? what is this, The Bachelor? But JC Lynn thinks that Josh has been throwing competitions because he doesn't want to show where he truly stands in the house. I think, yeah, that's probably like definitely a possibility, right? Josh has come close to winning many competitions. He's very capable, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was throwing some stuff because he wants to keep playing the middle for as long as possible. So Marty is telling JC Lynn he would like to pull Jess into an official alliance with the two of them and Gino because Jess is just dying to solidify something. They want to be accepted, they want to have friends in this house. So Marty wants to make this happen. Okay. So later, Tanisha is chatting with Jess in the HOH room. They're talking about the renom, of course. And Tanisha is pitching for Gino to go up on the block and be the new target. It's not working. Jess does not want this. So then Tanisha is pitching for Helena or Kevin to go up with Moose still being the target. Tanisha says there won't be a huge backlash. Moose will still go. It's all good. And Jess is like, yeah, but I don't want people to know that the siblings are all working together. Now, we know from Jess's conversation with the battery box that this is their excuse for getting one of the siblings up on the block. They want to work with the other side of the house. They don't really feel safe with the siblings anymore. So Tanisha's like, all right, straight up, I don't want to go up. I'm not okay with it. But you know what? I would move on from it if I were to go up on the block. Tanisha says, but like, think about how the rest of the alliance would feel if I went up. They would be wondering, why would Jess put up one of the siblings when there are other options available? I mean, yeah, right? Tanisha says taking a shot within the alliance is like taking a shot at the whole alliance. Yeah. So Jess says, yeah, but the shot would be at Moose, not at the alliance. I mean, you're still putting up one of your allies when there are other options. So Tanisha says, all right, well, you can still take the shot at Moose with Kevin next to him. But Jess says they're afraid that the votes would flip on Kevin. I mean, honestly, they might. I don't know. But anyway, after that conversation, Tanisha tells Summer and Betty about it, and they are not happy. So, meanwhile, Jess continues their one on one conversations. Just a few quick highlights here. Herman talked to Jess and said they want to target people who aren't winning. This is similar to the conversations that we've heard him have with a few other people. And he tells Jess, I'm like 95% sure that I would not be targeting you next week. So Gino had a similar conversation with Jess saying like, oh, we got to go after these floaters, blah, blah, blah. And he's kind of warming back up to working with Herman. I feel like Gino just still wants to bro out with Herman and Marty. Jess talked to Helena and let Helena know, yep, as we suspected, Tanisha and Summer have been pushing for you to go up as the replacement nominee. Ooh, I'm scared for the Mandams. I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore. We also saw an interesting conversation between Summer and Jess. Summer was really laying down the law. She said, if Tanisha or anybody else from the siblings goes up, that alliance is pretty much going to be over. She is putting the pressure on Jess here. And Jess says, well, it's the best way to ensure that Moose goes and our alliance stays a secret. And Summer says, if that's what you think, but I'm telling you, if you do that, I'm going to jump ship. Even if the votes are there for Moose to go, you're still letting my booty burn, by being up on the block. So Summer is saying, I'm not saying you couldn't still have individual relationships from the people in the siblings alliance. Like, she's not going to speak for Betty or Tanisha, but she says that alliance as a whole would be over. It would be done. So it's interesting that Jess is like throwing away an established alliance for one that's not locked in yet. They would rather throw away this thing that they have with Tanisha, Summer, and Betty to unofficially work with Gino, JC Lynn, Marty, Kevin, like that whole group. Ugh. Anyway, the feeds were weird last night. They were in and out, and Big Brother stopped showing Jess's one-on-ones. They weren't showing Jess's one-on-ones this morning either. So there were all these conversations still happening with Jess, and we just didn't see them. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's because a lot of people have been talking about Jess and how problematic they've been this week on social media, or what the deal is, but I think we missed some important stuff. This morning, Hermon was trying to form a new alliance with Tanisha, Gino, JC Lynn, and Jess. I'm confused. What is this? I know Hermon had a plan last night where he was wanting to pitch to Jess that Jess would have some safety promise from him, and in return, Jess would put Kevin up on the block, and Hermon would act like Moose was still going, but then they would flip the vote, get rid of Kevin, and keep Moose. I don't think he ended up going through with pitching that because he got word that Jess was pretty set on Tanisha going up as a replacement, but I don't know because they've been blocking so much of Jess's conversations since last night. But the feeds have been down today for a long time for what I'm assuming is the Power Veto ceremony. I don't know if maybe they're doing some sort of a sponsored task as well, because it's been they didn't come back yet, right? No, they haven't come back yet. Yeah, you come in. Yeah, the feeds have already been down for over 5 hours.
Keep my name out of your mouth.
Oh my God. So I don't know what's going on there. If you want to check back later, we will post the replacement nominee in the info for the spoiler.
Of course we will.
Of course. I'm assuming that Tanisha's going up in Hermon's place, right?
One lick for yes.
Yes. One lick for yes? Okay. He said yes.
Okay.
But again,
yes twice.
Yeah, we will post confirmation on that later. Oh, did the feeds just come back? The feeds just came back after 6 hours and 15 minutes. You gotta love the feeds bot on Twitter. Amazing. Make sure you put the notifications on for them. But I guess we'll find out what happens soon, right? So maybe I can check real quick on Twitter just to
take a look.
Just to take a little look, see. In the meantime, how about those Oscars last night? Yeah, right. We talked about it in our
which just today. Went up, which I realized I forgot to unprivate.
Oops.
Right when this started broadcasting or streaming.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, it's at the end of today's vlog.
I'm just trying to see if we can get some confirmation.
We were all giddy before the Oscars, and then we were not so giddy after the Oscars.
I'm really happy with a lot of people that won. But,
yeah, of course. Well, this really put a damper on the whole situation.
That Will Smith, Chris Rock situation, not so good. But Liza and Gaga together.
Everything. My heart.
Everything. Oh, somebody's asking about the FeedsBot account. So it's at feeds_bot. I'll put it in the chat so you can see it. At feeds_bot. It is life-changing. Make sure you turn on the notification bell, because then you can see immediately when the feeds come back. Yeah. I want to thank our super chatters today, Jefferson Tucker and Jefferson Tuckery. Thank you both so much for the support. We really appreciate it. I know Questlove, right? He really got screwed over with that. I really wanted to hear.
I love Questlove.
Yeah, everything that he had to say. Sorry, I'm just checking in to see if we have any news. I just heard myself in the background.
Blam, 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 blam.
Yeah, it might take a while for us to figure out what actually happened here. So I gotta go. It's an early episode tonight. I have things to do before that. I'm sorry. But I want to thank you all so much for being here. We really, really appreciate it. And we'll see you later for tonight's recap.
Let us know what you thought about the Oscars in the comments, because we read them all.
We do read them all. Okay, so see you later. And until next time, much love. Bye.